Automotive, I believe.
All right, it is 6:30. It is June the 6th, 2022. We are at 101 South Main Street, Joplin, Texas. This is the planning and zoning meeting. And we'll go ahead and announce that, call the order when we have a quorum present. We'll move on to the citizens forum. The planning and zoning commission invites citizens to speak on any topic. However, unless that item is specifically noted on the agenda, the planning and zoning commission is required under the Texas Open Meeting Act to limit its response to responding with a statement of specific factual information, reciting the city's existing policy, or directing the person making an inquiry to visit with city staff about the issue. No commission deliberation is permitted, and each person will have 3 minutes to speak. So I know we have something on the public agenda tonight, but if there's anybody here that would like to speak in regards to anything other than the public hearing, the conditional use permit, we want to see anybody here. Okay. We'll move on to the regular agenda. The first thing is to discuss, consider, and possible action on the meeting minutes from April 4th, 2022 and May 10th of 2022. Everybody have a chance to review those?
Sure. I'll make a motion. We approve the minutes.
Have a motion? I'll second it. All those in favor? All right, moving right along. We will have a public hearing that will open at 6:31. The public hearing on a request for a conditional use permit regarding approximately 0.22 acres of land at the Bentley Plaza Survey Unit CR, County of Johnson, Texas, located at 103 Conveyor Drive, to allow for a use of a tattoo removal and application business. Here.
Okay, the property is platted and the property is currently zoned C1 restricted commercial district. The conditional use permit is to allow for the use of a tattoo removal and application business. The purpose of the conditional use permit is to allow for review of uses which would not be appropriate generally without certain restrictions throughout a zoning district, but which, if controlled as to number, area, location, or relation to the neighborhood, would promote the health, safety, and welfare of the community. Such uses include colleges and universities, institutions, community facilities, zoos, cemeteries, country clubs, showgrounds, drive-in theaters, and other land use as specifically provided for in this ordinance. To provide for the proper handling and location of such conditional uses, provision is made for amending this ordinance to grant a permit for conditional use in a specific location. This procedure for approval of a conditional use permit includes public hearings before the Planning and Zoning Commission and the City Council. The amending ordinance may provide for certain restrictions and standards for operation. The indication that it is possible to grant a conditional use permit as noted elsewhere in this ordinance does not constitute a grant of privilege for such use, nor is there any obligation to approve a conditional use permit unless it is the finding of the Planning and Zoning Commission and City Council that such a conditional use is compatible with adjacent property use and consistent with the character of the neighborhood. The proposed use complies with the section 5.2 permitted use table of Joshua's Code of Ordinance.
Thank you. Are the owners here present tonight? Is there anything you care to address or say?
I've never done anything like this, so I don't know.
I want you to come up to the just state your name and your address, and then just tell us why we should allow you the permit.
My name is Sean Green, my wife Jennifer Green. Super nervous.
That's okay. What's your address?
2215 Southwest Wilshire Boulevard, Carlton. So basically the last house before Joshua. The reason being is, well, one, I've responsibly been doing this for over 33 years now. So for quite a while. We moved around. We left Texas. We moved around a lot. I saw a lot of things that in other states that were stricter guidelines, and the people I worked with, for instance, in Florida, Jeff, he went through and believed in tattooing and knew that tattooing in a lot of places had a really bad rep. So he was doing his best to repair that. And in order to do so, he opened up a tattoo shop there, became deeply rooted in the community, goes through, helps out the schools, sports teams, so on and so on and so forth. I grew up here in Joshua. Actually, my very first job was in that same building where the donut shop is now. Used to be Moore's Chicken way back then. And I don't know, I just want to, I see the bad rap that tattooing gets in a lot of the areas around here. And I think a big part of that is because of the health department's guidelines and such. And you can't really do anything to change that without being a shop owner. Now, I've even asked about if they have a board you can get onto. Every place else I've been, the shop has to be licensed. To open the shop, you have to be a master tattoo artist. To bring anybody in under you, you have to be a master tattoo artist. To work in a shop, you have to be a licensed tattoo artist. So on and so on and so forth. Here, you basically have the building, them come out and say, yeah, the building's okay, and the city signed off on it, and that's it. And so there's so many, for lack of a better term, seedy that give a bad reputation to tattooing that I think it's really a sad thing.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Did you used to be in Virginia? What I read.
I did.
Y'all in Virginia Beach?
Yes. I was in Virginia Beach at Trinity Tattoo.
I used to go to that area right now.
Okay. Trinity and Trilogy. One of them was actually in the mall there, which was the first time I've ever seen a shop in the mall.
Was there anybody, we didn't have anybody sign up?
No, sir, but I believe Ms. Anderson.
Sure.
I'm Shelley Anderson. I was at 112 Independence in Joshua. And I just had a couple of questions. I didn't know if you were going to address them in your presentation or not. Is there going to be anything in your business that would be taxable? I know services aren't taxable. Is there anything there that we think would go towards tax base?
In the beginning, probably like the first month or two, probably not so much. As soon as we get established, t-shirts, stuff like that, jewelry sales. In the beginning, we'll have just the jewelry for the piercings.
Okay.
But then once we get everything in there, get everything kind of ironed out, then we plan on selling jewelry, your typical t-shirts, hats, stuff like that.
Okay. And I noticed on your application, you had put in that you're going to do tattoo removal as well. So I mean, what are the requirements? I mean, because that's,
As far as
I mean, are there any certifications? Is there any licensing?
certification classes you go through, which Virginia Beach, the company I work for there, they were the first ones I've ever seen that. It's not actually done through a laser, so it's a lot safer. And you go through, you have to have the certification and then the licensing.
And all that you've done?
All that we will do as soon as, because we have to buy the equipment to go through the license or to go through everything on the equipment.
Okay.
So yeah, we'll have to do it through that. And then our hopes are, so once you go through and you do this, this hopefully will bring in enough money that we can move into a laser removal. And then, because this is, like I said, this is not a laser removal. Hopefully then we can go into a laser removal. If we go into the laser removal, then we have to actually have a doctor sign on.
Right.
And then,
That's what I was
Yes.
kind of more curious.
and
about.
then after that, 100 procedures. Yes, with the doctor before you are considered free to do it on.
So the ones we plan on using is, it's a solution
Mhm.
that's re-tattooed in
Okay.
off of a stencil. And so it does like circles and you do every other one. And so what it does is the solution makes the ink come back to the surface instead of the laser, which makes it break up and your body has to process it. So it's less work or trauma on the body, put right back out.
Okay. And do you know, is this just a vacant? Is it currently vacant?
Yes, it was, where Big D's.
Mhm.
So right up against that, between that and the nail salon, it was a storage unit, controlled climate storage unit.
Got it. I just was curious for some more information. I would recommend that this is passed if you have that additional information. And I appreciate it.
Okay.
'Cause that's all.
Is there anybody else that want to speak tonight? Kind of out of order, but you think, anybody else want to speak on this? This is just during the public hearing. We'll get back to it.
I wanted to just ask a question.
We'll get that, let me close the public hearing.
Oh, I'm
And then
sorry,
let's start our
excuse me.
discussion and we can
Yeah.
discuss more of the details. I'll close the public hearing at 6:40. And then we'll bring it back up here. The next action is discuss, consider, and possible action on approving a conditional use permit regarding approximately 52 acres of land in Bentley Public Survey Unit CR, County of Johnson, Texas, located on 103 Conveyor Drive, to allow for the use of detaching removal and application business. So now, John, go ahead. Let's bring it up here. We can discuss.
Well, it was just,
Things
well, there are a lot of people in the area of Dallas Fort Worth to do what you're trying to do.
As far as the removal,
Mhm.
no, actually, most of them in the area, I believe closest is in
Dallas. Well,
is Dallas. and
Dallas is
Houston.
laser, but Houston is the closest location who's actually gonna use the same system as us. And with the system we wanna use, it will block off all of Johnson County.
Yeah,
And then we
once-
could even apply
Actually-
with them for Tarrant County.
Johnson, Tarrant, and part of Arlington, would be the territory.
So it would bring people in.
So once we bought that unit, nobody else in that area can buy that.
I got you. Yeah, thank you.
You guys have any questions? Auditors?
Where are y'all's forecasting business wise for your first year? How many clients do you anticipate?
Total on everything, it's. Yeah. Oh, shoot, I'm gonna say minimum 400 or 500 minimal. I mean, very minimal.
And where your planned hours of operation?
During the week, which would be Tuesday through, we'll be closed Sunday, Monday. Tuesday through Thursday, we'd be open from 1 till 9 p.m. And then Fridays and Saturdays, we'd be open from 1 or 2 till 10.
And for staff, was there any letters for or against?
There was one, but there was no reason given for, they were opposed.
Okay. And
Is there enough lighting up there if they want to stay until 9 o'clock at night on weekdays, in that area, the parking lot? It won't be too dark in there, will it?
I've never really been through there at
There's
night.
a light in the middle. of the
Yeah, it's a
parking
pretty
lot.
good.
It's got a
Justin.
full parking lot.
Yeah, it still won't be too dark.
because they got the restaurant across the street.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the
There's a
fall
lot of
time,
lights
the only
around.
time you're worried about.
What's your normal capacity? How many people do you normally expect to have?
I would say as far as, while the procedure's going on, there's gonna be maybe 12, 15, something like that.
And you just maybe, you said a couple of it, bringing on more artists to come in there as well.
There's already, one other artist for sure that is gonna be.
Okay.
So, and then, an apprentice as well. So, the removal part, myself and her will, or her and myself, well, we'll be doing that and we'll be the only ones doing that. And then the tattooing, I want to have it to where we've got enough space for 4 different tattoo artists. And then a separate area for piercing as well. So that's what makes it
That's
hard.
down the
'cause-
road. I mean, that's your future plan.
No, that's right off the bat.
Okay.
The piercing is what makes it really hard, because right now at the shop I work on the other end of Burleson. And so like, weeks like, school just let out. So like your piercings, you're having moms bring in their teenagers and piercing probably like, let's say like 8-9 sets of ears a day. So, stuff like that. So, I mean, and then while school's in, you might get like 3 or 4 a week as far as years go. So
And the piercing there, like at the shop, is so much safer tissue wise than going to Claire's, where it's a piece of metal that's just shoved the tissue and moves the tissue away. With piercing, it's actually a tri-bevel needle that takes a piece of the flesh out so that there's no much normalized trauma on the ear and it heals
Sounds
faster.
traumatic.
It does.
You know why I did.
And they are, they're broken, they just rock it out. And then he's got Dairy Queen coupons, so they can get ice cream and stuff.
That's a big thing I do in Burleson. I started doing down there is the moms that bring in like their kids to get their ears pierced after the kids get done, I'll move them up. And I figure that kind of helps everybody else out too, because it makes me look great to the person that's just pierced. But two, then the mom's gonna take the child, and then if there's other children or whatever, chances are if they're there, they're gonna all get something. You know, and if it's like a couple of little kids, I'll give each one of them a free coupon and the Dairy Queens are always more than willing to just hand me stacks as long as, you know, we sign that that's for the company. And so I feel like that helps a lot too.
So there's no age limit on getting a tattoo. Anybody,
No,
You can bring a kid
18 state Texas. Right.
there is a tattoo. Okay, that's good to know.
Does the state regulate from like
Health
health
department.
inspections? How
Yes.
often does that happen?
Yes. Again, the state of Texas, I know every other state I've been in, it was usually about quarterly. Texas, I mean, when we open up, they will definitely come and do one. But I know they have a huge shortage because of the way they do everything. That's another reason I want to find out about it. But so I believe that they've actually got 2 or 3 health department people that cover the entire state of Texas. I know when I started tattooing from the west side of Fort Worth to the east side of Arlington, there were 8 shops. Now there's over 150. So, I mean, they've got their hands full. Sometimes you might see them 2-3 times a year. Sometimes you might see them like once every year and a half. So.
And one good thing is we plan on having everything disposable, so everything's
Yes.
one use and it's thrown away. So
Yes.
it comes to us sterile. Once it's open, it's tracked whether they complete the procedure or not.
Thank you. You guys have any other questions or any other discussion?
I'm gonna make a motion that we approve the conditional use permit.
A second. I have a motion and a second to approve. All those in favor? Seconds unanimously. Very good. Thank you.
Go get them, guys.
We can see your passion, so we appreciate it.
All right, we will, move on to number 4, to discuss, consider possible action on approving a replat starting 0.506 acres of land known as the lots 3R-1A and 3R-1B, East Hills Edition Phase 1 of the J.H. Cooper Survey, number 1.5. County of Johnson, Texas, located at 222 Joshua Boulevard for the subdivision of property to construct duplexes. Aaron?
The property was originally platted as one lot. This property is zoned R2, 2-family residential district. The proposed development of this property is to allow for the property to be subdivided for the construction of duplexes. Water is provided by the Johnson County Special Utility District. A letter of final approval has been submitted. Right-of-way dedications have already been dedicated. This plat appears to meet the minimum requirements for a replat as set forth in the City of Joshua subdivision ordinance. Therefore, we recommend approval.
Thank you. Did everybody have a chance to look at that? Any discussion, questions? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve the replat.
Second. Got a motion and a second. All those in favor? That's unanimous. Very good. If there's nothing else, then we'll adjourn at 6:49.